It's good to hear that you're recognized for what you have given the industry. I want to ask you, if I could, in closing here, about a couple of other films that are my favorites, unrelated to your work, but I've seen you do commentaries on. The first one is a Frankenheimer film called The Train.
Yes.
Dietrich, what the hell is going on up there? Dietrich, you idiot, you get those switches working. We have got to get this train out of here. I'm tired of your inefficiency, Dietrich! Watch me! Fire up that engine! You dump, you old goat! Get out of there and get under cover! Get off my train! You damn fool! We'll be ready bombs any second! Get off my train! You can't get through! The switch is closed! Open it!
One of the most underappreciated, but maybe one of the best World War II films or films in general ever made. I mean, the staging in the movie's absolutely remarkable. But give me your thoughts on that. Outside the box, I've heard you talk about it, and I know you've reviewed it for Trailers from Hell, so to speak. But what are your thoughts when you see that movie?
Well, I thought it had, a really good sense of World War II atmosphere.
Yeah.
The photography was very crisp. It evoked the best of World War II newsreel photography. They had a couple of different, well, they had a pair of French cameramen who, were prepared to go handheld from time to time and still could do elegant tracking shots. And they really got into Frankenheimer's visual sensibility very well. It's an all the more extraordinary film because it was, taken over early in shooting by Frankenheimer after Burt Lancaster fired Arthur Penn, who was wanting to make a more cerebral debate upon whether people should die to protect art, whether human life was more important than art. And that's an interesting philosophical debate you could have. But if you're going to couch it in a movie, you better have some of the standard elements of entertainment that draw people to a war film. And so Arthur Penn, strangely enough, though he is no slouch with action, as he proved later. He got Bonnie and Clyde, and later when Little Big Man, etc. He was a visual stylist. Look at the Left-Handed Gun, his black and white CinemaScope Billy the Kid thing. Arthur Penn's a great director, but he wasn't the director that Burt Lancaster, if he realized, oh dear, I might have another soft release after the last two soft releases that I have just had, and I need to bounce back with something that has got some muscle to it. So he fired Penn, brought in Frankenheimer, who said, let's beef up the action. Let's spend $2 million more than they expected to spend, really. So it was the most expensive black and white war movie, the last black and white war movie that was, obviously Longest Day was coming up, but up to that point, you didn't make a black and white war movie. In color, you were more likely to have a much wider audience worldwide. But so they took a risk, and with Burt Lancaster doing his own stunts and hurting himself, and then having, he didn't actually hurt himself during a stunt. He hurt himself playing golf, actually.
It sounds better, though. It sounds better, right? In the press reports.
He was going to have a limp for the rest of the shoot, so they quickly staged a fall for him. And you see the fall. You think, God, he did that when he'd already twisted his ankle or twisted his knee. I forget which it was now. But that was him. He was a circus acrobat who he knew how to take some punishment.
Right. The Crimson Pirate.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. What a film. But anyway, they beefed it up, and because of this change in schedule, some of the French actors were booked on other things. They were meant to last the rest of the movie. So Frankenheimer, who was a former who started directing live television where things could go wrong, said, okay, well, we can give some of their functions to the actors who can stay. We'll have the Gestapo execute them over there, like today. There's a scene, dialogue is going on one side of the frame, and people talking some of them don't realize what's going on behind a wall on the other side of the frame, and suddenly you see these people getting shot. That's a typical Frankenheimer clever framing. There were all sorts of changes that had to be made, but he brought in scenes of aircraft strafing the train, which were expensive to do, and the blowing up of a huge railway station, which was a clever piece of negotiation. This comes down to how to exploit production value. To have apparently a German bombing raid to flatten this railway station was going to be too expensive for them, but that railway station really needed to be demolished anyway, because they were standardizing the rail gauge at the time. So they were able to negotiate with the French government. They provide all the explosives and the explosives engineers to really blow the thing up, and that's
Smart.
what you see. So Roger Corman when he heard of some disaster going somewhere, if he could get a cameraman out to shoot the volcano going up, or the hurricane coming in, or huge forest fire, he'd say, hey, get me some shots of that, I can build a movie around it.
I know Roger Corman, if there's a dam breaking, his first call is to his camera department. The second call maybe to the authorities to to alert those in harm's way. But that's one of the things you have to love about the Corman lore. I love that you talked about the cast a little bit, the French cast, but also, the entire cast of the movie is exceptional, including Wolfgang Press and some of these guys who made great Nazis and looked worn out from war in the movie. They just visually struck you as the real deal.
No, it was very well cast, and Frankenheimer was, and look, even towards the end, with Ronin, showed he had all his skills.
Yeah, there's also a great moment where the German colonel is going to get a special permission to load and ship the art on a special train that's supposed to be a troop train or something, and he has to go to the headquarters. And I've never seen a scene blocked out so well that goes down hallways with guys burning files or motorcycle couriers. The way he does what I'm making sound quite normal in this discussion, it was just so. Whoever did it, the AD or Frankenheimer, whoever, just unbelievably well blocked.
No, I think Frankenheimer's the kind of guy who takes a major hand in his own blocking on a shot, as I do. I like long tracking shots, and you've got to make sure your frame is dressed wherever the camera is roaming, and there are no dead spots. So you set something up and then you watch it through the monitor and think, oh, it goes dead on the left over there. So let's move these people forward. They come in earlier, and let's have that person circle around the back, and gradually you make sure that the front, wherever you probe and roam through the frame, there's always something happening that you want the audience to be aware of, even though your focus is following a particular character through that environment.
Yeah, and Paul Scofield, one of the great talents.
Well, yes. I mean, mainly saved himself for the stage, but he would pick certain roles, and he knew. I think he was always part of the original cast, and before the director changed, and it probably didn't materially affect his part much, he only wanted to be in things that he felt had real quality. And I remember being involved in making the trailer for his version of King Lear. No, he was always thought of as a great stage actor, and pity he didn't do more films because, frankly, but these were films. There were so many films he was offered that that's too ordinary. Nothing for me there.
Yeah, Leon Vitali, Kubrick's longtime assistant, who did the show a number of times, said that Scofield may, in his opinion, be the best actor that ever did it. That's an opinion, but it's interesting to hear him give him that much praise because he has been around some pretty good actors in his day.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.